Hey everyone, welcome to Fashion Rewritten, the very first episode. I will be teaching you the ins and outs of sustainability in the fashion industry and sustainable fashion in general. I'll show you what thrifting is all about, how you can thrift, what should you thrift, and other thrift tips and tricks. Also, how to shop smart, because sometimes we buy a bunch of clothes and then realize we feel like we have nothing to wear. I'm your host, Caitlin Travis, and I'm beyond excited to be with you today. Whether you're an experienced shopper, whether you're an experienced thrifter, or you know a lot about fashion, whether you're just curious about all these aspects, or whether you just want to smart shop and not spend a bunch of money, you are at the exact right place, because my podcast is all about style, but with a purpose. Style that's going to be ethical and not harm our environment. Style where you can find something that fits your aesthetic and fits your vibe, but also isn't going to be so pricey, is going to last you a long time, and is also going to be conscious at the exact same time. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be telling you my background story, what I'm all about, my journey with sustainable fashion and fashion in general, and why I'm here, and then also why I started this podcast. Why am I coming out here to show you guys all these different things and try and tell you how to be sustainable and how to be smart with your fashion and how to build a wardrobe that'll last you a long time. So, first off, grab a coffee, grab a warm drink, whatever you like the best, so you can sit down and listen to all this fun stuff. This is a podcast that I'm going to be 100% honest with you, and I'm 100% knowledgeable on my topic, and I also plan to go into college for fashion merchandising in New York, so you will be completely submerged with everything fashion and everything sustainable. And feel free to also reply and comment and give me recommendations on what you want to hear and what you want to know, because that is what I'm here for. Right, now that we're getting comfy, let's start with my backstory. What brought me here? We're going to have to rewind. I wasn't always sustainable, but I was always into fashion and I was always into shopping, and I hopefully have a shopping addiction, but that's besides the point. In fact, I used to be someone who would see the trendy clothing and impulsively buy that trendy clothing on cheap websites. Cheap websites like Shein, H&M, or other places like TikTok Shop, any place that was cheap like Forever 21, but had the trendy clothing that I was seeking out. Well, it ended up not lasting. I ended up throwing it away, and then I forgot I even had it sometimes. Does that sound a little familiar to you guys? Because I know it sounds familiar to me. But over time is when I started realizing that this is not something that's working out for me. This is not something that is helpful to me. And my first thing was I realized that my closet was completely full. I had an overflowing pile of clothes, and my mom would always tell me, Caitlin, you have more clothes than any girl I ever know. But to me, I felt like I have so many clothes, but I don't have any outfits. I don't have anything I can wear. I felt like there was never anything to wear, and that's because I was buying trendy clothing, forgetting I had it, because it wasn't in style anymore, or it wasn't lasting me. And these trendy clothing weren't neutral, iconic, or sustainable, or maybe iconic isn't the right word. Maybe more like a neutral palette that you can build off of. You need to be able to build off your wardrobe, and that was something I didn't have with finding those trendy pieces that I was getting off of Shein. Second off, I kept spending money on clothes that didn't last. Like I have mentioned, these clothes didn't last, or I forgot about them, so I kept buying more and buying more. And with social media, trends come in, and there's a bunch of new things that are trending, so then you buy more, and you buy more. And honestly, people don't realize that after a couple of months, when you get rid of something and then you end up buying something new, you are wasting so much more money than buying a shirt that's maybe $50, but is a neutral, and it's going to fit your aesthetic and fit your style and last you way longer than something from Shein would. That's something that's very overlooked. And third, and the most important thing, is I started learning about our environment. I started learning the ethical issues behind the fashion industry, and that it wasn't just climate change. I know we hear about climate change all the time when it comes to sustainability or things that harm our environment, but there's way more behind sustainability and the harms of fast fashion. It's about the people we affect with labor, harms and environments that are harmful to the people that are creating our clothing, and the low wages, how we're affecting animals, but then again, we also are harming our environment. Those top three things are things that fast fashion affects, and things that I was at one point benefiting. I was submitting to that. I was submitting to that culture of buying new clothes and buying trendy clothes all the time. Some of the facts that I ended up learning was, first off, it takes 700 gallons of water to create one cotton t-shirt. Something that is 100% cotton takes 700 gallons of water. And that made me think, how much water could go to literally anything else? It could help out so many other people. It could go towards so many better things. And we're using it for a cotton t-shirt just because the retailer can make more money off of it because they produced it quickly and used cheap materials and paid way under low wages for people. And then they end up harming those people because they're giving them poor environments. Like, we can do so much better, and there are so much better options for us. Another thing I learned is fast fashion is in the top % global carbon emissions. That's higher than airplanes, helicopters, and even ships that go overseas to transport items. I was baffled by that. Fast fashion is taking over that much in our environment. Our environment in a world that's so big and has like 8 billion people. That was a crazy fact to me. And something also new that I learned recently was that we have clothing in landfills so high that we could dress 6 generations ahead of our time. That's how many clothes are in landfills right now that just sit. And then they can't biodegrade because they're made of cheap materials. That resonated with me so hard. And I was kind of thrown back a little bit, and I felt guilty a little bit too. But that's because we aren't made aware. And that's what I'm here to do, is make you guys aware of these situations. So eventually I discovered thrifting. Thrifting kind of has a niche to it, or when I was younger, it had a niche to it. And by niche, I mean like it was almost in a clique. And it was in a clique with people who couldn't buy brand new clothing. And that is absolutely not the case at all with thrifting. Thrifting is for everybody. Literally everybody. You can find staples. You can find unique pieces for a way much more affordable price. And then you're also extending the lifespan of that clothing. And it'll probably last longer. And it's also avoiding landfills for longer, which makes it a sustainable choice of clothing and a place to shop. And that's when I realized thrifting is the most sustainable thing you can do when it comes to shopping a wardrobe. It's less money, and it also doesn't impact our environment in a wrong way. Every time you buy something secondhand, you're keeping it out of those landfills and giving it a longer lifespan, which ends up being helpful to our environment, not harmful. Basically, once people end up getting tired of thrifting, because sometimes if you're not in the right environment or not in the right city, it's hard to thrift. And sometimes you're not always finding great things. So that's when you have to start learning of sustainable brands, sustainable places you can shop that are brand new clothing, but it still feels like shopping at a place like American Eagle or Hollister, because it's that brand new clothing or that brand new feeling or feeling of getting something completely new. And there's a lot of places that also are passionate about sustainability, and they're creating a clothing brand that is a sustainable option. And they have neutrals to where you can build a wardrobe and not feel like your closet is overflowing with clothes, yet having no outfits at all. So you can use apps like Good On You to search brands and search brands that are similar to maybe American Eagle, because American Eagle is fast fashion and they do a poor job of helping or avoiding animals harm or low wages or poor environments for laborers, and the fact of harming our environment with their production methods. So then you put that into the Good On You, and they give you brands that are similar to the clothing that American Eagle sells, but are sustainable. And this is how I started shopping at not only sustainable brands, but also places that make me feel good. I feel good shopping at these places because they're sustainable, the clothing is lasting longer, and I actually feel like I have things to wear, and that I have things that I can put together, and I can make more outfits with this red shirt than I could with the cheetah printed shirt on Shein because it was famous or well known on TikTok for however long. So that's just a little bit about my story and why I did this and how I got to where I am. And we'll obviously learn more about that further on in my podcast, and about different aspects of thrifting or how to thrift or what brands to avoid and why to avoid them. So now let's get into the fact of why this podcast. Why did I start this podcast? Well, I wanted to inform you guys because I am so passionate that I wanted to inform you guys the harms of fast fashion and also how much money you can save and how much of a wardrobe you can build by being sustainable and thrifting your clothing and being smarter with what brands you shop at and shopping at sustainable brands so that your clothing lasts longer and you're not forgetting about it or you're not getting rid of it after 6 months of having it in your closet and wearing it probably 3 times. This podcast will teach you together our journey about how to shop sustainably. What is sustainability? It's not just something that is cool or it's not something that's trending nowadays. It's actually super important. And this podcast is showing us both, as I do my research to inform you guys on how to be sustainable, but not also spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and building a wardrobe that you are able to style and you are able to style well. So some of the things I'll be doing in this podcast, besides sitting here informing you guys of all the facts and all the statistics, because that becomes boring, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is comfortable, this is fun, and I want to help you guys out. So even when you guys ask questions or make requests, I'll be sure to announce them or share them on this podcast. So first off, thrifting tips and tricks. Thrifting is hard if you don't know how to thrift. Some people think like they look at something and they're like, yeah, this is just not cute because if this was at American Eagle, I would never buy this. And that is a good tactic to have. You don't want to just buy something because it's cheap or because you're thrifting and it's sustainable. You want to buy it because you want it. So with that being said, I'll help you understand how to find the best pieces, how to find unique pieces, what to look for depending on your style and your aesthetic, and how to style secondhand finds. So when you find these things, how are you going to style them? How is it going to be buildable? How is it going to be in your wardrobe and you not forget about it? And also, how can it fit you? It's important to learn skills like hemming or sewing because once you thrift, you need those things. If you find a shirt that's absolutely adorable, which I have done so many times before, and it doesn't fit, and you kind of get bummed out a little bit. Like, that's happened to me so many times, only because I go everywhere to thrift because I love thrifting so much, and I probably have a shopping addiction. Things don't fit. And you want to learn how to tighten that, or you want to learn like, oh, if I cut the sleeves, or if I made this like a deep V, or maybe a boat neck. Like, you want to be able to do those things, and maybe fixing like necklines might be a little bit extreme, but like at least making it fit or be fitted, if that's what you're looking for. I'll teach you how to do those things too, because that's super, super important. Another thing is sustainable fashion deep dives. So deep dives will be more about statistics and facts and giving you visual aids, but also giving you facts and websites so you know I'm not just making this stuff up about what fast fashion is, what its harms are, what brands are fast fashion, and what all types of things go into it. I'll be breaking down the eco-friendly things and what is eco-friendly and what's not. I'll be breaking down fabrics and how fabrics can be good and bad, and what fabrics are bad and why they're bad, what fabrics are good and why they're good. Also, I'll be sharing ethical brands and why ethical brands are smarter, and even though they might have a higher price point, why it's important to be content with buying something and not having to buy something similar to that, or not having to buy or go on a shopping spree again for half a year, because it's not normal to want to buy stuff every 2 weeks. And I'm telling you, I shop a lot, so I totally understand. But when you're taking a sustainable route, like thrifting shopping every week, it's a little bit different, or at least I'd like to think so. But not having to or want to shop every single weekend, because that's not what it should be. You should buy clothing and it be able to last and feel content with what you have in your closet. Another thing is I'll be interviewing other experts, like people who own sustainable brands, especially in New York. I'll have internships that I can share with you guys, and I'll be interviewing these people, giving them questions, maybe give you a different outlook or broaden your horizon of knowledge about sustainability and what it looks like for them or what it could look like for you. Designers, thrifting pros, and sustainable stylists, so they know how exactly to style sustainable clothing or thrifted clothing. I'll get all those information and all those opinions to give to you guys, because that's what I'm here for. Also, this is my most favorite part that I'm most excited about, because this will really be a journey for both of us, is DIY and upcycling ideas, because sometimes the best wardrobe refresh comes from what you already have. And we don't notice that, and that comes a lot with understanding fashion, understanding your aesthetic, being able to build off of that. But maybe turning something into a crop, or maybe not cropping it at all, or maybe making it fitted, or layering something so that you have more outfits with it. And like, this doesn't just have to be a shirt. What if I put a vest over it? What if I cropped it and I put a collared shirt underneath it so you can see the blue striped collar shirt underneath? There's a lot of different ways to style your clothing and make it multifunctional so that your wardrobe has more to it than just maybe a plain red top. So basically, we're going to make fashion, sustainable fashion, approachable, fun, and totally doable, because that's what it should be. It shouldn't be something that's hard to do, and it shouldn't be something that should take an adventure up a mountain to do. It shouldn't be hard to go seek sustainable brands. That's what I'm here for, is making it easy to do and giving you access and knowledge so that it is easy for you guys to do. Because at the end of the day, being stylish and being conscious shouldn't be two separate things. You should be able to be conscious and stylish. So, before I sign off, I just want to say that I don't want this podcast to just be me talking into a mic, or me blabbing, and it feels like a teacher lecture that you have to sit in class and be boring all day long. I want this to be something that's interactive, where you guys want to learn, I make you guys want to learn, and you guys can reach out to me and talk to me about questions, or maybe something that you want me to elaborate on, or you want something for me to share. So, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening to, whether it's Spotify or YouTube, or you're hearing a snippet on TikTok. Never miss an episode, so make sure you can see all the new things, and I promise episodes may be 15 to 20 minutes each time, but I promise I won't bore you. Connect with me on Fashion Rewritten on YouTube, or fashion._rewritten on Instagram, or fashion.rewritten on TikTok. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thoughts, questions, again, maybe your best thrift finds. I hope to make a group chat soon so I can talk to you guys, and maybe we can share each other what we thrifted today and why we thrifted it, or maybe how we used a thrift shirt and actually fitted it to our bodies, showing our new skills together and being able to share and learn off of each other. You could also leave a review or show other friends about this podcast and how they can learn also to be sustainable and find their style and their aesthetic, and also save money, because that's really important too. This world is a money eater, I feel like. And lastly, if you take anything at all away from today's episode, let it be this: you don't have to be perfect to be sustainable. Small changes matter. I'm not perfect still. I still actually had a crazy adventure the other day. I went to the mall and there was a bunch of gold jewelry. I'm a gold jewelry gal, if you can't tell. A bunch of gold jewelry on sale. And I went in there and I was like, I've been looking at this jewelry from the shop for so long. I'm going to get it. And then I was like, you know what I should have done? I should have looked on Good On You and seen if it was sustainable. I looked it up. It wasn't sustainable. So I'm not perfect at all. However, I do my best to be perfect, but I want you guys to know that small changes matter, and at least being conscious of where you're going to shop, or maybe making the choice to go thrifting instead of going to the mall, because your choice matters. And together we can create a more stylish and sustainable future, and maybe become almost perfect with how we shop or how we become sustainable. Thank you so much for tuning into this first episode. Next time we're diving into Sustainable Fashion 101, which actually just is going to be telling you what sustainable fashion technically is, what it looks like, and how to start your journey. So stay tuned. Until then, be conscious, small changes matter, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye!